We use animal models in our research because we can experiment with new treatments in animals before these treatments are really ready for the clinic.
We can't say whether something new is safe or whether it works unless it's gone through a proper set of tests. These tests actually have to begin at the level of animals, so it's very important to do that.
We're actually reproducing the cause of the disease in the animal model, and that is a tremendous advantage.
Fruit fly models, worm models, mouse models, rat models, you can tweak the system with genetics that you can't do in other systems. When you have it in a dish, it's much more difficult. You can look at a single cell type, but not necessarily the complexity that happens in the brain.
With an animal model, we can look for visible changes, microscopic changes, biochemical changes within the mice that would be impossible to do in a living human being.
Many people who don't understand animal research will say, well, why don't you use computer models? Why don't you use cells growing in a dish? The problem with computer models is they have to model something. You have to understand the process.
We've made a great deal of progress in developing animal models for Alzheimer's disease, such that we can develop various therapeutics, drugs, all kinds of combination therapies can be tested in animals relatively quickly, and then we translate that into humans.
Think about this in terms of if this was your child, and what would you really need to see in terms of evidence before you're ready to try this experimental treatment in your child?
If we can demonstrate that the human nervous system works like the animals, it helps us to define treatments. And there's lots of things that we can study in animals that we can't in humans that give us the information that we need.
Certainly the animal modeling has been critical to our progress, our discoveries, and now our ability to really change lives of people who are living with spinal cord injury today.
When we test in laboratory animals, it's not just people who benefit from that. It is animals that benefit just as well. Our pet population gets many of the same diseases that people get. In the process, we're not only benefiting humans, but we're benefiting the animals themselves.
Everything we learn in the lab allows us to go back and forth between clinical trials in humans, the preclinical work in mice, at the bench, in test tubes, and they really inform each other.
Animal research is that critical piece that is going to allow us to go forward. There would be no new drugs and no new devices without that type of research.